Welcome to the plodcast. It's my poetry show. Welcome to the plodcast. Hey, where did everybody go? Is it working? Hello, friends. Welcome back to the plodcast. So I had some technical difficulties, and it looks like maybe we're back. I'm doing my thing, going through the intro. Hello, friends, blah, blah. Oh, it's been forever since we talked last. I'm lazy, blah, blah. I haven't done much, blah, blah. I go through the whole fucking spiel, and then I look down at the little thing, and then it's just pinwheeling, and it's all frozen. So I'm trying to look in the camera so we have direct eye contact, and not, like, look at myself and stuff, and it's not even fucking recording. So I did the whole spiel. So here we go, round 2, I guess. Classic, limping out of the barn, standard plodcast fashion. Actually, normally we limp into the barn. Whatever, maybe we'll get that out of the way. All the hiccups are now gone, and it'll be a flawless, 20 minutes. Either way, what's up? How are you? Good. I'm glad. It's been a while since we talked last. Like I said, my bad. I got lazy. Welcome to the first live action plodcast. Thought I'd hit record on the video and see what's up. So yeah, I'm going to try and maintain eye contact, but I'm right here, so it's tricky to not, see how I'm doing. I brought some friends. Hulk. Spider-Man, Thor, Poop. These items live on the couch. I did not set up this elaborate. I did prop up Hulk so that he was more visible. And Spider-Man's kind of over my shoulder here. Whatever. So here we are, live action plodcast. We're back. A couple people said, hey man, are you throwing a show for your birthday? Because your shows are the best, and I enjoy attending your shows. 100% of the time I have fun. And I was like, shit, I didn't have anything planned. It's my 36th birthday. It's not really a milestone, anything like that. But I thought, you know what? Maybe I can revive the plodcast. I'll do like a set of my favorite poems. You can watch it, like it, share it, hate it, fucking just hate it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm already rambling. It's been 2.5 minutes. The first 30 seconds chewed up talking about technical difficulties. It's garbage. I don't even know what we're going to do. I'm going to see how I feel. I found an old piece of paper with a piece of writing on it, doing some cleaning from a bunch of years ago. I'll share that with you. I'm going to do superheroes in its entirety, 1, 2, and 3, because that's my favorite shit, and why not do your favorite shit on your birthday? Let's just go. Let's just go. Poems. Here we go. I make poems and then I recite them for you. I make poems to pick you up when you're blue. I make poems and I hope you like what I do. 'Cause I do and I do what I do. It's for you. Dear Poetry, I want to share a multiple-strawed malt shop milkshake with you while the butterflies in my stomach flap their concern over giving you my class pin. Dear Poetry, you look so pretty in your poodle skirt parading around the promenade. I just want to pick you up in my little loose coupe and park with you proper down at Lover's Lane. When this Pleasantville gets cold, I'll wrap you in my Letterman jacket. Dear Poetry, I want to twist with you like we did last summer and spend happy days in a place where they already know my order. Dear Poetry, I want to take you to the enchantment under the sea dance, and when Biff gets fresh, I'll punch him all the way back to the future. Dear Poetry, you are my earth angel, and I walk the line of lonely teardrops in the still of the night back to you, just to say, good night, sweetheart. I'll sing you 9 love potions in an unchained melody, and when you're gone, all I have to do is dream. But it's not always doo-wop simple. Sometimes I get a basic instinct that this could be a fatal attraction, and even though it's as hard as Sharon Stone, I still want to get Glenn close. Footloose, Flashdance, Dirty, Harry and the Hendersons in a big Full Metal Jacket, never-ending story in a labyrinth like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Found a few lost boys at the Breakfast Club, and now every fucking Gremlin, Goonie, and Ghostbuster is lining up to be Top Gun. And this boy's story just got more lonely than Wall-E. The Incredibles, Bug's Life, trying to find emotion and write it up, but I'm not always brave enough for this Monsters University, and these pop culture allusions are just what my picks are. When I'm trying to fix art with no tricks, I'm just trying to train my fucking dragon. That's how this dream works. Rise of a Guardian, that's how this dream works. Turbo Crude Kung Fu Pandemic, that's how this dream works. Like a fucking B movie, that's how this dream works. Like an ogre, it has layers. Sometimes you're frozen and you just gotta let it go, let it go. Sometimes words are locusts and sometimes words are bridges and sometimes poems are pretty but sometimes poems are vicious. And when it all gets barbershop quartet complex and those harmonies stop making sense and everything seems like it's just a mess, sometimes it's best just take a breath. Remember, I just make poems and then I recite them for you. I make poems to pick you up when you're blue. I make poems and I hope you like what I do, 'cause I do and I do what I do. It's for you. Yeah, thanks for your help with that. On the plus side, he didn't sit on the keyboard and hit stop. This is Titus, everybody. Say hi to the people, Titus. You almost wrecked that poem, but that's okay. I can guarantee this dog will not sit calmly while I do the rest of my poetry, but we'll see what happens. So that was a poem. That's one of my favorite pieces to perform. You know what? I think that is my favorite piece to perform. I get to do all the things. It's got lots of references. It's got a lot of easy references for people to get. And it always brings everybody up, makes everybody happy. It's about taking poetry too seriously, because sometimes I do. That's the joke that I make, and it always falls flat. Did it fall flat at your house? Okay, well, maybe it's a bad joke. I don't know. Look, get off my back. What else? Superheroes. Let's do it. We idolize fictitious messiahs. We idolize fictitious messiahs and fraudulent gods from pulp pages, and we call them super. We call them heroes, but are they real? No. Just the meanderings of overactive imaginations that never dug deep enough to discover the private and personal crime fighters of everyday life. So turn the page, close the book, put it down. All the superheroes are dead. They don't have beating hearts. They never existed to begin with, but heroes. Everyday heroes are alive and all around us, not as Peter Parkers or Clark Kents. They don't wear red capes. They sport blue collars and go by names like Mother. My mother wasn't Wonder Woman, but that's not to say that she wasn't a wondrous woman. She was no daredevil, no man without fear. She was no X-Man, but X marked the spot of my heart. She loved me. She didn't need X-ray vision to see my world was in trouble. The X factor was that she prepared me for my alpha flight, lassoed me with truth, and raised me to be a Wolverine. Without that ability to heal myself, I was just Logan. But she gave me claws and super strength to believe in the abilities I possess, no matter how regular or Doctor Strange they may be. Superheroes can't tuck you in at night, can't wipe cold sweat from the creased brows of children who fear their dreams. With great power comes great responsibility. Mothers don't just give us our name or submarine us in their thoughts when they know the mystique of the juggernauts and the marvels of this adamantium gambit. They know that villains exist, and in black suits they spread their venom to create carnage. Doomsday to a Superman who isn't coming back, the bane of our existence, and this is our nightfall. These Mr. Sinisters and Doctors of Doom use cloak and dagger techniques to create their vision of Black Widows, Red Skulls, and Green Goblins with scorpion tails that scream from between the panels, just sentinels and new warriors for their Deadpool. Our parents never changed clothes in phone booths. We put our lights in the dark night sky for them, and they arrived like thunder every time and saved us before the Flash could, fast. Before our summer blockbuster could cross over into just another clone saga. See, we need our Aunt May's, Mary Jane's, Betty Brant's, Lois Lane's, Pa Ken's, Uncle Ben's, J. Jonah Jameson's, Pepper Potts, Betsy Ross. I could keep going. There's lots. Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, Gwen Stacy, Liz Osborne. This is getting kind of boring, and they may not be fantastic, but when you feel like an invisible thing, they will light up like a human torch, stretch their arms around you, and it's clobbering time for anyone in their way. So don't expect me to wait on a savior with radioactive DNA, and I will not rest what rogue hope is left on a fictional phoenix rising from the gray, or a storm of jubilance from the abyss. These figments of overblown, exaggerated imagination can't carry the incredible bulk of the iron fist of indifference in this world, but my mother could. We don't need make-believe superpowers to help us heal. We just need to believe that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Superheroes. That's part 1. Part 2. Under a hockey jersey that never really fit. All the way in the far back left in the closet, in a grocery bag with a hanger hook through the handholds, hung my comic book collection, hidden away like a secret identity. A special cachet that could take me away to Spider-Manhattan when I needed to escape the story of a kid with no escape and the story of a kid with no escape. Marveling at the images I would see a dark horse valiantly getting vertigo, exploring the ultraverse, mining mythology, imagination archaeology, and I dug into the twisted origins of characters that existed long before I did. I dug into sinister villain, vicious cynicism. I dug as deep as allowance would allow. Bargain basement budget bulk book bin buyer with chronic back issues from searching through comic back issues, and Mom was always the supplier of stories and skimmed tips that became more stories and more examples of heroes daily dealing with problems that were bigger than mine. Somehow finding a way to make it all work out just fine, while the most heroic thing that I did every day was wake up and pray that today would be the last of my issues, without being my last issue, sealed away in Mylar, body bagged and boarded up to preserve the worth of a childhood. I wore bravery awkward like a boy in men's hockey equipment, but fear fit like a spandex suit. I wished I had an alien symbiote. I wished I had a quick healing factor. I wished I had an armory and the strength to write a war journal so that I could be a lethal protector injected with venom who grabbed weapon X. Why? Because I won't let him punish her. My mom was a perfect poetic example that abuse isn't always black and white or black and blue. I never saw my mom physically get hit, but I do know she beat herself up every time my dad called her a piece of shit. Her superpower was thick skin. Mine was the ability to follow the moral arc of a maniac monster all the way through to the resolution that the water would never run clean with second chances, that I would never know my dad as well as I knew his fists, and that I would never find a better place to hide than in literature like this. But I should have never had to find a place to hide my literature like this in a grocery bag with a hanger hook through the handholds, all the way in the far back left of the closet, hidden away like a secret identity. Part 2. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to have comic books or any money or anything like that. So I had to hide the fact that I had comic books. My mom used to work as a waitress, and her tip money wasn't like a set amount of money, so she was able to like skim $5 and $10 here and there so that I could go to the comic store and buy comic books. So shit's legit. I'm fumbling around right now. I'm looking for part 3. I don't have memorized, so here we go. Part 3. This store, with a poster of Hulk on the door, has sticky floors from cola spilled the day before, and this perpetually tacky linoleum at this wacky emporium is just one of many pitfalls placed perfectly to help transform a young man into a dork. It was that pregnant pause, that simple second and little look that it took to light the wick, ignite right quick the inferno of imagination, flame on. All I did was hesitate. Is that sticky? Ah, and I saw it. Amazing Spider-Man 300. Up on the wall, the first appearance of Venom. The orange 300s that took up most of the cover made Spider-Man's black suit really pop. Wait a minute, Spider-Man's black suit? What the fuck is this? I didn't know. I knew about Venom and Maximum Carnage. The greatest Spider-Man story ever told was in full swing, but this sticky spot on the floor that stopped my wander and made me gander to the $20 and up comics that I was too young to handle, just hoping that at some point in my life I too could be among the fortunate few regal enough to acquire the elusive $20. So that I could learn the backstory of a villain. So that I could know why Spider-Man borrowed Venom's clothes. So that I would mortgage my high school popularity in hopes of paying for a better origin story. So that I wouldn't get laid for a long time. That sticky floor was an anti-booby trap. Fast forward. 2 and 3 decades later, and I'm in the same stores with posters of Hulk on the door and sticky floors from cola spilled the day before, and a Venom shirt with my head tilted toward the pieces of comic lore that I could not afford. I'm filling in the gaps in my collection. I'm using introspection as a form of self-reclamation. It's like this. My childhood was kind of crap. Now, if only through nostalgia, I'm just taking it back. So give me that amazing 300. New Mutants 98. I'll take 87 too in a bag, that'd be great. I need X Factor 6, Hulk 181, Batman Adventures 12 from the shelf if you got one. I want Fantastic Four 5, Tales to Astonish 13, Miss Marvel 18, Nick's number 3. How many do I need to fill this hole? The answer, more. That's why I keep coming back to the comic book store with the posters of Hulk on the door and the sticky floor from cola spilled the day before and a Venom shirt with my head tilted toward the comic lore that I could not afford when I was a kid back in '94 when these books were worth less, but I would have paid more, like Mylar bag and a backing board, boxes and boxes on the closet floor, no matter what your collection's worth. Mine's worth more. Because of every single thing those fucking books stand for. This down, go back to this. A 3-parter. I wanted to write the third part, I think, was my initial goal. And I always wanted to write, you know, this tacky linoleum at this wacky emporium and do like this whimsical ode to the comic book store. And the first time I got an opportunity to write about superheroes and stuff, it was part of a teen piece, and we were all over the place. And I said, can I take a pass at this poem? And I sat with my Marvel encyclopedia and I wrote down every superhero whose name was a noun and the different ways that I can manipulate that. And that's how the first one came to be. The second one was a failed attempt to write Wacky Linoleum, Wacky Emporium. And I ended up just like delving really, really deep into like backstories and anti-heroes versus like a villain on the fringe and stuff. And I got into a really dark place for like an afternoon where I took 3 shots at this poem, and 2 of them were incredibly dark, so I took the 2 that were incredibly dark and I smushed them into what became Secret Identity, and then took another pass at it. And then I think I finally got Tacky Linoleum, Wacky Emporium when I tried the 3rd time. And I had bits and pieces of it, like specifically Tacky Linoleum. And the first appearance list, the rhyming first appearance list. So I kind of melded those together and it became what it was. And it always feels nice to do the 3 of them back to back to back. It's fun. It's my favorite shit to do. Anyway, the plodcast, superheroes, we're doing it. I'm going to tease something that's coming. And maybe I'll probably do it right around here. We'll do that in editing. You won't even know. I'll just keep talking. And my face will disappear, and there'll be a teaser for something that's coming. That's all I'm even going to say. I'm not even going to say more than that. You know what happens? You advertise these things, and then they fail, right? They fail, fall apart, and now you've advertised something that's not happening. Speaking of that exact scenario, the last podcast I remember saying, well, I'm going to do a 8-bit backtrack. We're going to talk about Rocket League. That didn't happen. I sat down to write something about Rocket League, and I got a couple pages in, and I was like, it's so easy. Like, it's so basic and dumb. And it didn't turn out the way I wanted. So I bailed out. Maybe, you know what? Maybe that was what caused me to not come back to the podcast for a little bit, because I was frustrated with myself and my abilities. Let's move on. Like I said, I had 0 plans, so we're just winging it. We're already at 20 minutes. I gotta cap this at half hour because there's no way I can hold people's attention, what with the Facebook and the Netflix and the Hulu and the children. Oh, children everywhere. Yeah, I found this. It's okay. It turned out kind of neat. I'll just read it, let it speak for itself. I found it, actually Autumn found it. We were cleaning. It was like in a drawer shoved away. And I was like, hey, some writing. And I read it, and it was okay. And I thought, I'm going to share this. Now, I'm going to share this. He liked to take chances and test his luck. He loved to play the odds. She was a bit more even, with a blue chip on her shoulder and a savings account she wasn't likely to dip into for the purposes of gambling. He was a persuasive wild card, but she wanted nothing to do with this joker. She was a queen, and she knew this jack-off thought he was a king, and he would only try and poker. He called her bluff, tried anyway to put his ace in the hole, because he just loved to play the slots. He wanted her to pull his lever and make it rain. And she would rather fold than let him go all in. She was young, and if he was over 21, it was a bust. She'll stand her ground rather than double down. It's a sucker bet. She was a pair of tens, he just wanted to split. Where he saw crowns, she saw anchors, and her heart couldn't be won with diamonds, so they would always be at odds, even if his little white balls landed on evens. She would always choose passions, red, bet on black intentions, just for the ball to land on double zeros over and over again. I like it. Found it in a drawer. It's okay. It's like maybe the start of something kind of cool, or maybe it's just what it is. Maybe it's nothing. What else? Sorry, that was rude. I thought of that joke earlier. I was like, I'm going to blow smoke at the camera, and then I'm going to wave it away, and I'm going to be like, sorry, that was rude. I'm just looking for the most recent ghost story that I wrote. I kind of like it. It turned out neat. It's called Just Like Me. It goes like this. I had to cut it. I buggered it up. Here we go. You hike to clear your mind. Nothing crazy. Local trail that goes around the top of a rock face that drops about 40 feet. You've been here before. Your pace is reasonable and the breeze is in your face. Your spring jacket is barely enough. The day is clear and it takes you 15 minutes or so to make the trek up. You examine your existence on the way. You conclude that you're not completely fulfilled, but it could certainly be worse. At the pinnacle you find acceptance. You rest and admire the view. Arms akimbo, you breathe deeply and try to inhale all the beauty your wandering eyes can see. Just then you're startled, out of your daydream, by a gravelly voice gargling what your ears perceive and believe to be a cross between a plea for help and someone screaming, hey, like, half. From the bright sky, your eyes need time to adjust to the light and the lush greens and the mud forest floor. Your head whips left and scans. Your eyes land on the shape that's making the noise 50 feet away. It's human-shaped, but barely. Its limbs are mangled. It gets bigger as your brain registers that it's coming towards you. It's coming for you. You turn to run. You slip in mud. Stunned, you briefly spin your wheels, but you make it up. Looking back again, you're terrified as you begin to understand the monster after you is on a mission. You run fast, straight ahead, continually tracked, and as you look back at that, you see the creature has your jacket. Not literally yours, but one that exactly matches. It's covered in blood. Nothing about this is good, and somehow you feel sorry for a monstrosity you never thought you would. You're terrified. Your heart hasn't pounded so hard in your life. You're sprinting so fast, your legs are on fire. You normally know the area well, but now you're lost and you're tired. You glance back and something else is familiar. You and that thing are dressed very similar, taken aback by the fact that the jacket and hat are perfectly matched to your boots and your slacks. What is going on? You mumble, moving forward, but without ever looking forward. Your gaze is now trained on the monster coming toward you because its face is your face, and your brain cannot explain why you and the creature coming for you look the same, except its mangled limbs are tangled like it survived some kind of attack, barely alive, bleeding, open wounds and compound fractures, still running and still not looking forward. You sprint directly off the side of the rock cliff where you finally accepted your existence for what it is. You breathe deeply as you fall. You close your eyes and you shatter on the rocks below. When your eyes finally open, your feathered vision shows you what's left of your body. Your survival instincts kick in. Your adrenaline kicks in. Your swiveling head scans every direction for help. You look up and see yourself finally accepting your existence. There's no one else who could possibly help, and you but you can't hear you, so you waddle your way to the sloping part of the trail, hoping your arms and your legs don't fail to carry you up to a place where help is available while your own bones are trying to impale you. Maintain a pace that makes the pain okay to take all the way to the top of the mountain, and you and you see you, hear you, recognize you coming toward you, coming for you with vicious persistence, and you chase you right off the side of the cliff where you accepted your perpetual set of complex consequences demented enough to torment your existence, and that's where you stayed for the rest of your days, reliving the same craziness in all the same ways, over and over and over again, until you no longer accept your fate. Ghost stories. I love that shit. 28 minutes, 30 seconds. So we got a minute and a half, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. If you're at this point, I'm going to try and be more regular on the plodcast, even if it's just doing some stuff that maybe you already heard before, some stuff that I like. I should be, you know, out there more, doing stuff. Stay tuned for some things that are coming. That's about it. That's about all I got. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers. Thank you for watching the plodcast. It's my poetry show. I hope you had a good time, but now it's time to go. Just go on. Just get out of here.